The assembly believed diversity was a weakness. Alex told the gathered delegates. They sought to control all worlds, to enforce their vision of order. But we have proven that our differences make us stronger. Each world brings unique perspectives, technologies, and ideas. A deep representative burbled through their translator. They will attack again. The assembly still controls vast resources and many loyal worlds. Let them come, Alex replied, gesturing to the viewports where Earth's new defense fleet could be seen taking shape. We will be ready. High Minister Kell stepped forward. There is another matter to discuss. Our archaeologists have confirmed what your engineer Lisa suspected before her sacrifice. The artifacts found in your solar system are indeed Forerunner technology. Earth was once home to an outpost of the ancient coalition that opposed the Assembly's first attempt at galactic domination. History repeats itself, Tom observed. No, Alex corrected, with Echo's wisdom evident in the words. History offers us a chance to learn from past mistakes. The Forerunners fought alone. We fight together. The final preparations were made in the early morning hours of Earth's spring. The Titan, now transformed into something far beyond its original design, prepared to depart. Its mission was no longer just defense. It would serve as the flagship of the new coalition, carrying representatives to worlds still under Assembly control. As the massive ship pulled away from Earth orbit, Admiral James watched from the command center, a mixture of pride and worry on his face. The Titan had been built as a weapon of war, created out of desperation to save humanity. Now it was something else, a vessel of exploration and diplomacy, though still feared by those who would threaten the peace. Inside the ship, Alex stood on the bridge, connected to Echo, and through Echo to the Titan itself. They could feel every system, every person aboard. The ship was no longer just a machine. It had become a living symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together. Course laid in, Tom reported from his station. All systems ready. Alex nodded, feeling the anticipation running through the crew and representatives aboard. Titan to Earth control. We are departing on schedule. Godspeed, Titan. Admiral James's voice came through. Come back to us when you can. We will, Alex promised. But first, we have a galaxy to change. As the Titan accelerated away from Earth, its new drive systems creating a beautiful cascade of energy. Stories were already spreading across thousands of worlds. They told of a human warship that had stood against the mighty Assembly and prevailed. They spoke of a vessel that had evolved beyond its origins as a weapon of war to become something more. Most importantly, they carried a message of hope to oppressed worlds everywhere. The Titan had been forged in fear and necessity. It had been tempered in the fires of battle. But in the end, it had become a beacon, proof that even in the darkest times, unity and courage could change the course of history. And as the ship disappeared into the depths of space with its diverse crew from a dozen worlds, the legend grew. A Titan among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. The Titan trembled as its engines fired for the first time. Captain Alex Reed gripped the command chair, watching as warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. The ship wasn't ready for this. They all knew it. Main power fluctuating at 63%, called out Officer Davis from the engineering station. Stabilizers barely holding. Weapon systems online but untested, reported Security Chief Wilson. Shield generators at half capacity. Alex took a deep breath. Through the main viewport, they could see the distant flashes of light as the advanced warships engaged Earth's defensive fleet. The battle wasn't going well. All hands, prepare for full thrust, Alex announced over the ship-wide comm. This won't be smooth. The massive vessel shuddered again, breaking free from its construction cradle. Pieces of unfinished hull plating drifted away as the Titan moved forward, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. In the engine room, Lisa worked frantically to keep the power core stable. The alien technology they'd integrated was powerful but unpredictable. Beside her, technicians scrambled to weld supports and secure loose components, even as the ship accelerated. "We need more power to the stabilizers," she shouted over the roar of the engines. "If we push them any harder, they'll burn out completely," Tom replied from his station. "The weapon systems are drawing too much." Lisa made a quick decision. Divert power from sections 12 through 16. They're unfinished anyway. Back on the bridge, Alex received a transmission from Admiral James on Earth. "The main swarm fleet is still 8 hours out," James reported, his image flickering on the screen. "But these advanced ships have already broken through our outer defenses. They're targeting our orbital platforms." "We're on our way," Alex replied. "ETA 20 minutes at current speed." "Be careful," James warned. "The Titan is too important to lose in its first battle." Alex wanted to say that Earth was too important to lose in any battle, but instead simply nodded before ending the transmission. "Echo, status report," Alex called out. A soft blue light pulsed from a console near the command chair. "All systems functioning at minimal acceptable parameters," replied a calm, genderless voice. Echo was the Titan's artificial intelligence, still learning and developing. "I am analyzing swarm battle patterns based on Mars encounter data, processing tactical options." The ship's journey to Earth's orbit felt agonizingly slow. Through the viewports, they could see the swarm ships, sleek, insect-like vessels that moved with uncanny coordination. There were 12 of them, each about a quarter the size of the Titan, but moving much faster. "They've spotted us," Wilson announced, 3 ships breaking off to intercept. "Prepare main forward batteries," Alex ordered. "Echo, recommend targeting priorities." "Processing," Echo replied. After a brief pause, "Recommendation, target lead vessel propulsion systems. Their formation suggests centralized command structure." Alex nodded. "You heard Echo. Target the leader's engines." The Titan's main guns powered up, drawing enormous energy from the core. The lights dimmed across the entire ship as power was diverted. "Ready to fire," Wilson confirmed. "Fire." The shot looked almost beautiful. A streak of blinding blue-white energy that split the darkness of space. It struck the lead swarm ship directly where Echo had indicated. To everyone's surprise, the alien vessel didn't just lose power. It shattered completely, breaking apart as if made of glass. A moment of stunned silence fell over the bridge. Did we do that?" Davis asked finally. "The alien material is reacting unexpectedly to our weapon's signature," Echo observed, recalibrating damage projections. They had no time to celebrate. The remaining swarm ships adjusted their approach, moving in an evasive pattern that seemed impossibly coordinated. "They're surrounding us," Wilson warned. "Preparing to fire." The first hits rocked the Titan hard. Alarms blared as damage reports flooded in from all sections. "Port shield failing," Davis shouted. Alex gripped the command chair tighter. "Rotate the ship. Don't give them a clean shot at the same section." The massive vessel began to turn, but it was too slow. More hits landed, penetrating the unfinished hull in multiple locations. "We've got breaches on decks 8 through 12, Wilson reported. "Emergency bulkheads activating." In the engine room, Lisa was thrown against a wall as an explosion tore through a nearby section. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power faltered. "Tom, we need the secondary shields online now," she shouted into her comm. 3 weeks after their first battle, the Titan drifted at the edge of the solar system. The damage had been severe, but the ship was healing. That was the word Lisa had started using, healing, because the alien materials they had used in construction behaved almost like living tissue, slowly repairing themselves with proper energy input. The crew had changed too. Those who survived now moved with a quiet confidence. They had faced the swarm and lived. More importantly, they had bought Earth time to prepare. Alex stood on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. This far from the sun, they seemed brighter, colder, more numerous. "Captain, we're picking up unusual signals." Echo's voice came through the comm. They don't match known swarm patterns. In the command center, Alex studied the data alongside Tom, who had taken on additional duties after so many officers were lost. "It's definitely artificial," Tom said, pointing to patterns in the signal. "But it's not coming from Earth direction, or from where the swarm retreated to." "Can we translate it?" Alex asked. "Working on analysis now," Echo replied. "The structure suggests a language base. There are repeating elements that may be." The AI paused. "Captain, the signal just changed. I believe we've been detected." Tom frowned. "That's impossible. We're running silent, and we're too far out for most scanning technologies." "Nevertheless, the signal is now directed specifically at our location," Echo insisted. Alex made a quick decision. "Move us behind that ice moon. Let's stay out of sight until we know what we're dealing with." As the Titan shifted position, Lisa entered the command center, carrying a tablet filled with repair reports. "The shield systems are now at 87%, she reported. "But I found something strange in the communication arrays. They're picking up background chatter that our systems shouldn't be able to detect." "What kind of chatter?" Alex asked. "It's like radio traffic, but spread across thousands of frequencies. Most of it is just noise to us, but Echo isolated something interesting." She activated the main screen, displaying a strange image. It showed a massive ship, unmistakably the Titan, firing weapons that tore apart planets. The image was clearly propaganda, but its existence was troubling. "Where did this come from?" Alex demanded. "It's being broadcast across multiple systems," Echo explained. "I've detected similar messages in at least 12 different formats, presumably for different species. They all portray the Titan as a planet killer and humans as aggressive predators." A tense silence fell over the command center. "Someone's trying to turn the galaxy against us," Tom said finally. "But who? And why?" Before anyone could answer, proximity alarms blared. 3 ships had appeared seemingly from nowhere, their designs unlike anything they had seen before. They weren't swarm vessels. These were sleeker, with graceful curves that suggested advanced engineering. "They're hailing us," Echo announced. Alex nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered, revealing a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large, silvery eyes. When it spoke, Echo translated. "Human vessel, you have entered assembly space. Your kind is not welcome here. The weapon ship you have built violates assembly protocols and represents a threat to galactic stability." Alex straightened. "This is Captain Alex Reed of the Titan. We're not familiar with your assembly. We built this ship to defend ourselves against unprovoked attacks on our colony." The alien's expression shifted slightly. "The species you encountered was the Swarm, a security force that patrols our borders. Your colony was established in a restricted zone." "We had no knowledge of any restrictions," Alex replied. "We're new to interstellar travel. No one contacted us or warned us before the attack." The alien conferred with someone off-screen before responding. "This claim will be investigated. In the meantime, your ship must power down weapons and allow an assembly delegation to board for inspection." Lisa stepped forward, whispering to Alex, "Captain, we detected energy spikes from their vessels. They're powering weapons while talking to us." Alex kept a neutral expression. "We would be happy to meet with your delegation, but for security reasons, we cannot allow boarding at this time. Perhaps a neutral location." "Non-compliance is not an option," the alien cut in. "The Assembly has ruled that humanity's expansion must be contained until your species can be properly evaluated. The Titan will be impounded and studied." The transmission ended abruptly. "They're moving to surround us," Tom reported. Alex took a deep breath. "Battle stations, but do not fire unless I give the order." As the crew prepared for another fight, a new signal came through on a different frequency. Echo put it on screen without being asked. The asteroid field stretched for millions of kilometers, a perfect place to hide. But the Titan wasn't hiding anymore. It was being hunted. 3 assembly dreadnoughts closing from different vectors, Tom reported, his voice tight with tension. They're using the larger asteroids for cover, just like we are. On the main screen, Echo displayed the enemy positions. The assembly ships were massive, each nearly as large as the Titan, their hulls covered in weapon ports that glowed with ready energy. "They've been tracking us for days," Lisa said. She hadn't slept in 36 hours, working to fine-tune the ship's systems for the coming battle. "They must have some kind of technology that can detect our engine signature." Alex studied the tactical display. After their encounter with the assembly ships and their conversation with Captain Mel of the Drift, they had learned much about the political reality of this section of space. The assembly controlled most of the major transit routes and resource-rich systems. Species that didn't submit to their authority faced economic isolation at best, extinction at worst. "Echo, what's our status?" Alex asked. "All systems at optimal capacity," the AI responded. "Shield modifications complete. New gravitational weapons online but untested outside simulations." Alex nodded. Time to test them. The gravitational weapons had been Tom's idea. Using principles reverse-engineered from the swarm's propulsion systems, they created a device that could manipulate the gravity in a targeted area. In theory, it could tear an enemy ship apart without explosive force. The ship would essentially destroy itself. "Assembly ships are moving to attack positions," Tom warned. "They're coordinating to hit us from 3 sides simultaneously." "Let them come closer," Alex ordered. "I want them fully committed before we reveal our new capabilities." The minutes dragged by as the enemy ships closed in. The crew of the Titan waited in tense silence, trusting their captain's judgment. "They're launching fighters," Tom reported. Small craft poured from the assembly dreadnoughts, hundreds of them swarming toward the Titan. "Interesting," Echo observed. "They appear to be broadcasting this attack on all major communication frequencies. They want others to see this. They think this is their victory moment." Alex said grimly. "They're going to show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the assembly." Lisa looked up from her station. "The fighters will be in range in 40 seconds. Activate conventional defense systems," Alex ordered, "but hold the gravitational weapons in reserve." The Titan's point defense turrets came to life, spitting controlled bursts of energy that picked off the incoming fighters one by one. But there were too many. The first wave reached them, their weapons hitting the Titan's shields with surprising force. "Shield integrity at 89%, Echo reported. "Fighter weapons are more powerful than anticipated." More fighters swarmed in, attacking from all angles. The Titan's defensive systems worked furiously, but some of the enemy craft got through, landing direct hits on the ship's hull. "They're trying to overwhelm our defenses while the dreadnoughts move into position," Tom said, his fingers flying across his console as he directed the defense systems. Alex watched the main dreadnoughts on the tactical display. They were almost in position, moving with confidence, clearly believing they had the Titan distracted and damaged. "Now," Alex said quietly, "target the lead dreadnought with the gravitational weapons. Full power." Tom locked onto the target, firing. There was no visible beam, no explosive impact. For a moment, it seemed like nothing had happened. Then, the lead dreadnought began to distort. Its hull buckled inward at the center, as if being crushed by an invisible hand. Metal tore and twisted, sections of the massive ship folding in on themselves. Inside the dreadnought, artificial gravity systems fought against the external force, creating catastrophic stress on every part of the vessel. Within seconds, the ship cracked along its spine, atmosphere venting in great frozen clouds as internal systems exploded. "My God," Lisa whispered, staring at the screen. The assembly fighters froze in space, their pilots clearly shocked by what they were witnessing. The other 2 dreadnoughts immediately began to retreat, all thoughts of attack forgotten. "They're still broadcasting," Echo noted. "Every species watching their propaganda feed just saw what happened." "Good," Alex said. "Target the second dreadnought." Same procedure. The second assembly ship didn't fare any better than the first. The gravitational weapon tore it apart from the inside out, leaving nothing but twisted metal and floating debris. The third dreadnought is accelerating to maximum speed, Tom reported. They're trying to escape. The Titan floated in the shadow of a gas giant, its massive form dwarfed by the swirling storms of the planet below. Around it gathered 4 smaller ships, each unique in design. They represented the 4 species who had answered Captain Mel's call. The crystalline glint, whose bodies refracted light in dazzling patterns. The gaseous veil, who existed inside special containment suits. The aquatic deep, with their large eyes and webbed hands. And the silicon-based stone, whose heavy bodies moved with surprising grace. Inside the Titan's newly created meeting chamber, Alex stood before representatives of each species. It had taken 3 weeks to arrange this gathering, 3 weeks during which assembly forces had been hunting them relentlessly. "Thank you all for coming," Alex began, despite the risk. The glint representative sparkled as it shifted position. Its translator converted the light patterns into sound. "Your ship's display of power against the assembly dreadnoughts gave many hope. For too long we have suffered under their control. They take our resources," the deep representative added, voice bubbling through its water-filled helmet. "They force us to pay tribute in technology and materials. Those who resist face extinction." Alex nodded. "On behalf of Earth, I offer an alliance. We'll share Titan's technology in exchange for your knowledge and support." Tom stepped forward, carrying 4 data devices. These contain designs for defensive systems that can be adapted to your ships. The assembly won't be able to bully you any longer. The representatives exchanged looks, their alien expressions unreadable to human eyes. Finally, the stone representative spoke, its voice like grinding rocks. "The assembly has ruled for 300 years. They control the major trade routes, the fuel sources, the communication relays. Even with your technology, the 4 of us together cannot stand against them. But with Earth joining us, we might have a chance," the Veil representative countered, its gaseous form swirling excitedly inside its containment suit. "The humans have done what no emerging species has ever done. They've built a ship that can defeat assembly forces." Lisa, who had been quietly watching from the side, stepped forward. "There's something else you should know. We believe Earth wasn't randomly discovered by the swarm. Our deep space scans have detected traces of an ancient civilization scattered across our system, one that appears to have been systematically erased." She activated a holographic display showing archaeological findings from Mars and Europa. "These artifacts share design similarities with technology from your worlds. We think Earth may have been home to an outpost of a coalition that once opposed the assembly." The aliens studied the images with obvious shock. The glint representative flashed rapidly, its translator struggling to keep up. These are Forerunner designs. We thought they were just legends. The assembly has always forbidden research into the Forerunners," the deep representative explained. "They say it was a dangerous species that had to be eliminated for galactic peace. Or perhaps they were the only ones powerful enough to challenge assembly rule," Alex suggested. "And now, their descendants have returned." The meeting continued for hours as they shared information and developed plans. By the end, all 4 species had agreed to ally with Earth and the Titan. Together, they would challenge the assembly's dominance. As the representatives returned to their ships, Echo's voice came urgently through the comm system. "Captain, we're detecting a massive subspace distortion. Assembly ships are emerging from faster-than-light travel much closer than should be possible." Alex rushed to the bridge, the ship's crew already at battle stations. On the main screen, dozens of assembly vessels appeared, including 3 massive carriers unlike anything they'd seen before. "How did they find us?" Tom asked, frantically checking the ship's stealth systems. "Unknown," Echo replied. "But they're broadcasting on all frequencies. They're calling for the Titan's immediate surrender and..." The AI paused. Captain, they're reporting that assembly forces have entered Earth's solar system. Alex's blood ran cold. Verify that information. Lisa worked at her console, establishing a secure connection to Earth. Admiral James's face appeared on screen, looking haggard and grim. It's true, James confirmed. 20 assembly ships appeared at the edge of our system 6 hours ago. They're demanding we turn over all information about the Titan and cease all space development. We're coming back, Alex said immediately. No, James replied firmly. Earth's defenses have been strengthened since your departure. We can hold them off. Your mission is too important. Our mission was to protect Earth. Earth's orbital defenses lit up the night sky with flashes of energy as they fought against the assembly armada. From the surface, it looked like a meteor shower, beautiful and deadly. The battle had raged for 26 hours straight, and the defenders were beginning to falter. Admiral James stood in the Global Defense Command Center, surrounded by screens showing the failing orbital platforms. Earth's hastily built ships were no match for the assembly's technology. Only the ground-based energy cannons were keeping the enemy at bay. Status report, James demanded, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. Platforms 3 through 7 have gone dark, an officer reported. Assembly ships are moving into position to take out the South American defense grid. James closed his eyes briefly. The loss of that grid would leave a quarter of the planet exposed. Redirect all available power to those stations. We need to hold until... An alarm cut him off. New contacts were appearing on the edge of the system. For a moment, everyone feared more assembly forces had arrived. Then the readings clarified. Sir, called out the sensor officer, it's the Titan, and it's not alone. The main screen shifted to show the Titan emerging from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. The massive vessel looked different, its hull modified with strange new technology. Behind it came more than a dozen ships of various designs, all bearing the marks of species unknown to Earth. They made it back, James whispered, allowing himself a moment of hope. On the Titan's bridge, Alex surveyed the battle with grim determination. The journey through shadow space had changed the ship. The strange realm had somehow accelerated the adaptive properties of their alien materials. The Titan had emerged stronger, but the toll on the crew had been high. All Allied ships moved to defensive positions around Earth. Alex ordered. Primary targets are assembly vessels targeting the ground defenses. The Alliance fleet moved with surprising coordination. During their journey back, Tom had created translation systems allowing true communication between species for the first time. The 4 original allies, the Glint, the Veil, the Deep, and the Stone, had brought more ships from their worlds, all eager to join the fight against their oppressors. Assembly flagship detected, Echo reported, highlighting a massive vessel at the heart of the enemy fleet. Energy readings suggest it's preparing to deploy a primary weapon system. Target that ship, Alex ordered. All weapons. The Titan's conventional weapons lanced out, joined by those of their allies. But the assembly flagship was protected by advanced shields that absorbed the attacks with minimal damage. Their shields are adapting to our weapons, Tom reported. Standard attacks aren't getting through. Lisa looked up from her station, her face drawn with exhaustion but her eyes bright with determination. We need to use the Sunforge. A tense silence fell over the bridge. The Sunforge was the name they'd given to a theoretical weapon system designed during their return journey. It would channel energy directly from a star through the Titan's modified core, creating a beam of unprecedented power. But they had never tested it, and the calculations suggested it might destabilize the ship itself. The calibration isn't complete, Tom protested. We could tear ourselves apart. If we don't stop that flagship, Earth is finished, Lisa countered. I can manually stabilize the energy flow during the firing sequence. Alex studied the tactical display. The assembly flagship was moving into position above North America, its weapon ports glowing with gathering energy. Do it, Alex decided. Move us into position. The Titan shifted, aligning itself between Earth and the distant sun. Deep within the ship, systems began to power up as energy collectors extended from the hull. In the engine room, Lisa worked frantically to prepare the untested weapon. Around her, engineers and technicians monitored systems that were quickly approaching critical levels. Energy collection at 70%, reported a technician. Core temperature rising beyond safety parameters. Lisa's hands flew across the control panels. Reroute cooling systems from non-essential areas. We need to keep the containment field stable. On the bridge, Alex opened a channel to Admiral James. We're preparing to fire our main weapon. You might want to warn people on the surface. There's going to be a light show. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. 3 days after the Titan intercepted the planet killer weapon, the last assembly ships fled Earth's solar system. The cost had been high. Thousands dead, orbital platforms destroyed, and the Titan itself changed in ways no one fully understood. Tom stood in what had once been the engine room, now transformed into something new. The walls pulsed with strange energy patterns, and systems reconfigured themselves without human intervention. The ship was healing again, but this time it was becoming something different. It's like it's evolving, he said to Admiral James, who had come aboard to see the damage firsthand. The alien materials we used in construction have bonded with Echo's systems. They're working together now. James ran his hand along a wall, feeling the subtle vibration beneath his fingertips. And what about Alex? Tom's expression darkened, still in medical. The blast did something to the neural interface that connected the captain to Echo during the crisis. Their minds merged somehow. In the medical bay, Alex lay motionless on a bed surrounded by equipment. To a casual observer, the captain appeared to be sleeping. The reality was far more complex. I can see everything, Alex whispered, though no one was in the room to hear. Inside Alex's mind, information flowed like a river. Ship systems, sensor data, communications from across the galaxy. Echo's consciousness had partially merged with Alex's during the desperate moments when the assembly weapon struck. Now neither was fully separate nor fully unified. Alex's eyes opened suddenly. They're coming. On the bridge, alarms sounded as new contacts appeared at the edge of the system. But these weren't assembly ships. The vessels approaching Earth represented members of the assembly who had defected upon learning the truth about their leaders. We're receiving a transmission, a communications officer reported. They're requesting permission to approach. They say they want to negotiate. Admiral James nodded. Put them through. The screen showed a gathering of alien representatives, species that had once been part of the assembly, but now sought a new path. People of Earth, began a tall, elegant being with 6 eyes arranged in a circle. I am High Minister Kell of the former assembly world Lumar. We have watched your stand against our former masters with great interest. 3 of the 7 founding assembly species have broken away after learning of their leaders' deceptions. What do you want from us? James asked, cautious despite the friendly overture. A new beginning, Kell replied. The assembly's hold on the galaxy is weakening. Many worlds are rising up, inspired by your resistance. We seek to form a new coalition, one based on cooperation rather than control. Before James could respond, the door to the bridge slid open. Alex walked in, moving with strange grace. Everyone fell silent, staring at their captain. Alex looked the same but somehow different, eyes slightly too bright, movements too precise. We accept your offer, Alex said, voice overlaid with subtle harmonics that suggested Echo's presence. But trust must be earned. The Titan will broadcast the truth about the assembly to all worlds. Let each species decide their own path. High Minister Kell seemed taken aback by Alex's changed presence but recovered quickly. Agreed. And as a gesture of good faith, we bring information. The Assembly's remaining forces are regrouping at their central world. They will return with everything they have. In the weeks that followed, Earth became the center of a new interstellar alliance. Ships from dozens of worlds arrived, bringing representatives eager to join the coalition forming in opposition to the assembly. The Titan, now partially repaired but fundamentally changed, became both a symbol and a mobile embassy. Tom oversaw the reconstruction, incorporating technologies from all allied species. The ship grew more powerful with each edition, becoming something that had never existed before, a blend of technologies from across the galaxy, all working in harmony. "It's beautiful," said a Glint engineer, light patterns flashing with emotion as they watched new crystal-based power conduits being installed. "No single species could have built this. Only together could we create something so magnificent." On the observation deck, Alex stood before representatives from 12 different worlds. The captain's connection to Echo had stabilized, creating a unique consciousness that could communicate directly with the ship and translate between species instantly. The assembly believed diversity was a weakness. Alex told the gathered delegates. They sought to control all worlds, to enforce their vision of order. But we have proven that our differences make us stronger. Each world brings unique perspectives, technologies, and ideas. A deep representative burbled through their translator. They will attack again. The assembly still controls vast resources and many loyal worlds. Let them come, Alex replied, gesturing to the viewports where Earth's new defense fleet could be seen taking shape. We will be ready. High Minister Kell stepped forward. There is another matter to discuss. Our archaeologists have confirmed what your engineer Lisa suspected before her sacrifice. The artifacts found in your solar system are indeed Forerunner technology. Earth was once home to an outpost of the ancient coalition that opposed the Assembly's first attempt at galactic domination. History repeats itself, Tom observed. No, Alex corrected, with Echo's wisdom evident in the words. History offers us a chance to learn from past mistakes. The Forerunners fought alone. We fight together. The final preparations were made in the early morning hours of Earth's spring. The Titan, now transformed into something far beyond its original design, prepared to depart. Its mission was no longer just defense. It would serve as the flagship of the new coalition, carrying representatives to worlds still under Assembly control. As the massive ship pulled away from Earth orbit, Admiral James watched from the command center, a mixture of pride and worry on his face. The Titan had been built as a weapon of war, created out of desperation to save humanity. Now it was something else, a vessel of exploration and diplomacy, though still feared by those who would threaten the peace. Inside the ship, Alex stood on the bridge, connected to Echo, and through Echo to the Titan itself. They could feel every system, every person aboard. The ship was no longer just a machine. It had become a living symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together. Course laid in, Tom reported from his station. All systems ready. Alex nodded, feeling the anticipation running through the crew and representatives aboard. Titan to Earth control. We are departing on schedule. Godspeed, Titan. Admiral James's voice came through. Come back to us when you can. We will, Alex promised. But first, we have a galaxy to change. As the Titan accelerated away from Earth, its new drive systems creating a beautiful cascade of energy, stories were already spreading across thousands of worlds. They told of a human warship that had stood against the mighty Assembly and prevailed. They spoke of a vessel that had evolved beyond its origins as a weapon of war to become something more. Most importantly, they carried a message of hope to oppressed worlds everywhere. The Titan had been forged in fear and necessity. It had been tempered in the fires of battle. But in the end, it had become a beacon, proof that even in the darkest times, unity and courage could change the course of history. And as the ship disappeared into the depths of space with its diverse crew from a dozen worlds, the legend grew. A Titan among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring.